Indeed for joining us. Can I ask you this question, just because I'm a bit unsure? What does it mean if you go on the tube and they say, would you mind wearing a mask? And you say, actually, no, it's a bit too hot today. I don't think I will, thanks. Have they got the right to stop you getting on? Or have they got the right to make you wear one?
Well, I mean, that's obviously up to TfL, Transport for London, who run the underground system, and Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London.
Well, no, I want to know what the legal position is, Chris.
Well, I mean, when I was on the tube this morning on the way in, I mean, I chose to wear a mask. I think that's the right thing to do. I would have thought that Transport for London do have the right to.
Why is it the right thing to do, Chris?
Well, because personally, I think I've got used to wearing it. Personally, it doesn't really cause me any inconvenience. I don't really mind doing it.
But what if it causes other people inconvenience?
Well, I'm talking about my personal choice, and if it protects other people a bit. Then
but you've just said, Chris, it's the right thing to do, suggesting that it's the right thing for everybody to do.
Well, I think it's the right thing for me to do personally, but I also think, actually on this one, I don't normally support Sadiq Khan, but on this one, I don't think it's unreasonable to ask people to take this little precaution, which doesn't really cause anyone any inconvenience, and it might well help.
Well, why did the Prime Minister say that it was then down to individuals as to what they should do?
Well, in the case of Transport for London, they do have the right, obviously, to make the rules about what you do and don't do on the underground. And I think, we have to respect that. And Transport for London has said they think we should wear masks on the tube. So because I believe in the rule of law and all the rest of it.
But it's not a law. I'm asking you as the Justice Minister. It's not a law, is it?
Well, I think Transport for London are entitled to specify conditions about, if people using their trains should do this or do that. So I think they are entitled to make.
Yeah, but what's the legal position? Because I'm interested in this purely and simply for myself and for other people who don't wish to any longer wear a mask, since it is no longer a legal requirement. Why would we be concerned about not being allowed to use the train?
Well, I would imagine that they don't have a power of arrest. Obviously, only the police have a power of arrest. But I would imagine that they do have the right to deny entry to the tube system if somebody doesn't comply with their various rules and regulations. Like, for example, if somebody is, drinking when they shouldn't be, that sort of thing.
Right.
So,
but equally, you can have an exemption because you feel anxious.
Yeah, you can have an exemption if you have a particular reason not to wear it. But Mike, I've got to say, speaking personally, as a Londoner who uses the train and the tube every day, I actually don't have a problem myself complying with it, because for me, it's not an inconvenience. It might help other people. So why, unless you've got a particular medical reason, why wouldn't you want to do it?
Well, I find it very uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well,
what should I do?
You should wear it, because that's what
I should wear it, even though I find it uncomfortable and it's not a legal requirement.
Well, because Transport for London are entitled. I'm not used, by the way, to defending Transport for London, but they're entitled.
Well, I don't understand why you are.
Set the rule. Well, because I believe
they went against government policy.
And they're entitled to set rules, okay? And as a Londoner who uses the tube every day, I don't mind following that rule. And if it helps other people...
Yeah, but it doesn't help other people, does it?
Well, we've been wearing masks for a long time now.
I haven't.
Even if you haven't... Okay,
I don't wear a mask when I'm walking down the street, do you?
But not in the street, no. Because
I don't wear a mask in the pub, do you?
But I do if I'm walking around, like to the.
Well, you don't have to now. It's not. But Chris, you don't have to. It's not a legal requirement.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things you don't have to do, but you might nonetheless choose to do.
Well, if you want people not to do something, why would you make it possible for them to do it? So, for example, if the Prime Minister thinks like you do, why did he make it possible for people not to wear a mask?
Well, look, you've got to take a proportionate approach. Right? We've had a bunch of legal restrictions that have been in place now for well over a year. And those,
and they've all gone,
and they've all gone. But just because the restrictions have gone doesn't mean to say individuals, or indeed other public bodies like TfL, should stop exercising any caution and any judgment. Now, if you're walking down the street,
so you're saying then that if I go to a restaurant this afternoon and they have decided to do away with social distancing, as is their right under the new law, that they shouldn't have done that?
No, it's a choice they can exercise, okay, and the individuals can exercise. In the case of a public body like TfL, they are entitled to make their own rules about what you can and can't do on the tube. They've chosen to make a rule that you should wear a mask on the tube, and I'm going to respect that, and I think other people should respect it as well.
Why didn't the Prime Minister say the wearing of masks is no longer a legal requirement apart from on public transport then?
Well, because...
I don't understand the logic, Chris.
Well, it is logical, because it's completely logical to say that now we've restricted the national legal restrictions. It's completely logical to say that individual people that run restaurants, or indeed TfL running the tube network, can make their own judgment. And if they want to do something that's stricter than is legally required.
So you're quite comfortable as the Justice Minister with people being unable to access a service that they pay for by taxation simply because they're different from other people about wearing masks?
Well, look, I think I'm comfortable with the fact that some public transport operators, like TfL, have decided to keep the requirement in place. They're entitled to do that.
Yes, but they're not entitled to stop people who pay taxes in London from using their service just because of a restriction which they've invented after the Prime Minister said it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, they're entitled to put those restrictions in place if they think.
I'm astonished that you would say that, Chris. So you're happy for there to be a two-tier society then?
I'm happy for someone that runs their own restaurant, or someone that runs their own pub, or for, I went to the theatre with my kids in central London on Sunday. The theatre had us all spaced out, or TfL running the tubes. If they think in their particular circumstances that it makes sense to require mask wearing or whatever it may be, I don't have a problem with that, and I will respect TfL's decision. Outside of that, walking down the street, I'll make my own choice. Personally, walking down the street, I wouldn't wear a mask because it's outside, and that's